Have you ever noticed that as you grow older, solitude begins to feel more comforting than company? In the past, social gatherings, laughter-filled conversations, and attending events used to be exciting, even necessary. But now, invitations that once brought joy might feel like obligations. You find yourself choosing to stay home, sipping a warm cup of tea, embracing silence, or simply sitting alone under the evening sky. And then you wonder, what changed in me? Don't worry, this isn't a sign that you're becoming antisocial or cold. In fact, it's part of a natural psychological shift that many people experience as they age. The truth is, as we grow older, the way we see the world, ourselves, and our relationships begins to change. We start to understand that not every connection needs to be maintained, not every conversation needs a response, and not every crowd deserves our presence. There's a quiet wisdom that comes from years of experience, pain, healing, and searching for meaning. In this video, we'll explore 6 psychological reasons why people tend to withdraw more as they age, and why it's not just normal, but also a sign that we're evolving into calmer, wiser individuals who are finally at peace with life. When we're young, we tend to spend a lot of time and energy interacting with all kinds of people: school friends, co-workers, new acquaintances. It feels like we have endless emotional reserves to attend social events, respond to every message, and even get involved in drama we didn't need to. But as we age, there's a quiet shift in how we view emotional energy. We begin to realize that energy isn't just physical, it's also about our mental and emotional capacity to engage with the world around us. Life experiences teach us that not every interaction deserves our full attention. Some conversations or social gatherings leave us feeling drained, anxious, or undervalued, and so we become more selective. We begin to step away from people who bring negativity or unnecessary drama. It's not because we've stopped caring, but because we've started valuing our inner peace. Time and emotional balance become more important than simply meeting social expectations. Our need to be constantly available for others starts to fade. We no longer feel guilty for saying no or turning down invitations. It's not arrogance, it's wisdom. We've learned that self-care is not selfish, but essential. Avoiding emotionally exhausting situations isn't a weakness, it's a sign of maturity. We start to reorganize our priorities, giving our energy only to what truly matters and to people who reciprocate that care. We also become more aware of our personal boundaries. In the past, we might have felt responsible for others' emotions, trying to please everyone even when we were tired or emotionally overwhelmed. Now, we know that everyone is responsible for their own emotional well-being. We become more honest with our feelings and no longer force ourselves to be present when our hearts need space. That awareness allows us to choose solitude over forced social interactions. In the end, we realize that conserving emotional energy isn't about shutting the world out. It's about protecting the quality of our life. When we preserve that energy, we can show up more fully and authentically for the relationships that truly matter. We become calmer, more self-aware, and more intentional. Because once we start truly valuing ourselves, we no longer feel the need to be everywhere or with everyone. We simply seek the company of those who bring warmth without leaving us emotionally exhausted. As we grow older, we begin to view life through a very different lens. In our younger years, we often played roles just to be accepted by society, friends, or even family. But with age comes experience, and with experience comes clarity. We slowly start to understand who we truly are, what we value, and what we need to feel at peace. This deepening self-awareness doesn't happen overnight. It is shaped by years of ups and downs, victories and disappointments, all of which teach us to listen more closely to our inner voice. This self-understanding also brings emotional honesty. We begin to realize that not every situation or person is good for us. In the past, we might have forced ourselves to attend every social gathering, to keep certain friendships alive, even when they drained us. But now, we learn to say no more often. Not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. We recognize that our emotional energy is limited and must be protected. We choose peace over pressure, even if that means turning away from relationships that once felt essential. With greater self-awareness, we also stop comparing our lives to others. We come to terms with the fact that everyone is walking a different path, and that chasing external approval is a never-ending and exhausting game. Instead, we begin to value authenticity in ourselves and in the people we surround ourselves with. We no longer want relationships based on convenience or appearances. We want depth, sincerity, and emotional connection. Perhaps most importantly, self-awareness makes us more in tune with our inner emotional landscape. We start to understand the difference between loneliness and solitude, between being surrounded by people and truly feeling connected. That's why we begin to withdraw, not to isolate, but to filter. We don't need a crowd. We seek meaningful connections. The noise of shallow interactions no longer excites us. Instead, we long for calm, for presence, and for genuine companionship. In the end, knowing ourselves becomes the greatest gift we carry into older age. It's not about closing ourselves off, it's about being intentional with where we give our time, energy, and heart. When we finally accept who we are, we stop searching for validation in the outside world. We realize that true peace doesn't come from more people or more noise, but from within, where we've learned to sit quietly with ourselves and feel whole. As we grow older, many of us begin to realize that inner peace is far more valuable than simply being popular or maintaining a wide social circle. In the past, we might have felt the need to be included, to be invited to every event, or to keep up with many friendships just to feel enough or not left out. But over time, experience gradually shifts that perspective. Popularity starts to feel superficial, while peace becomes something real and soul-nourishing. In more mature stages of life, people often lose interest in the noise and masks that come with social gatherings. They start choosing quieter, more honest spaces. Not every invitation is accepted, and not every friendship is maintained. Not out of arrogance, but because they've come to understand their own boundaries and emotional needs. We begin to realize that the cost of being overly social can be stress, exhaustion, and a loss of control over our time and energy. Older adults who begin distancing themselves from large social groups are often not antisocial. They've simply learned to cherish calm, meaningful relationships. They'd rather sit with one or two people for a heart-to-heart conversation than be in a crowd full of small talk. The quality of interaction becomes more important than the quantity. In a world that's constantly loud, those who choose silence are often the ones most at peace with themselves. Moreover, the need to be liked or gain external validation gradually fades. In youth, recognition from others is often a source of self-worth. But as we age, self-worth is built internally, from personal achievements, from resilience through life's challenges, and from the courage to be authentic even when not everyone approves. When we feel enough on our own, we no longer seek constant approval from others. In the end, stepping away from the spotlight and choosing a more peaceful life isn't a sign of becoming closed off. It's a sign of maturity. The peace we seek is not an escape, but a conscious decision born from experience. For many, growing older brings us to a place where we prefer the calm over empty praise and sincere solitude over hollow crowds. And that is a form of emotional wealth that no level of popularity can buy. As we grow older, many people begin to feel weary of shallow social interactions and meaningless conversations. What once felt enjoyable, light jokes, chatting about trends, or small talk at gatherings, gradually loses its charm. This doesn't mean someone is becoming antisocial. Rather, they're starting to realize that time and attention are valuable assets. With age, we no longer feel the need to fill every moment with empty words just to avoid silence. This shift comes from a deeper change in how we perceive relationships and social engagement. We no longer feel the need to please everyone or maintain a flawless image. Instead, we seek more authentic connections, relationships that offer understanding, comfort, and honesty. Many older adults report feeling happier when surrounded by a few people who truly care, rather than a crowd that only engages on the surface. Years of life experience also sharpen our intuition for reading people. We become quicker at sensing whether a conversation is genuine or just superficial or even manipulative. This naturally leads us to distance ourselves from situations that feel fake, performative, or full of hidden agendas. It's not about arrogance. It's about choosing not to waste time on interactions that lack depth or sincerity. Interestingly, this reduced tolerance for superficiality also encourages us to be more honest in how we show up in life. We become more comfortable declining invitations, limiting our social circles, or even letting go of long-standing relationships that no longer align with our values. These decisions are rarely easy, but often necessary. Avoiding shallow talk isn't about withdrawing from the world, it's about choosing to protect our inner peace. Ultimately, many come to realize that the best conversations often happen in silence. With the right person, no words are needed, just presence. That's why we find ourselves less drawn to noise and more at home in spaces of quiet meaning. Avoiding superficiality isn't a sign we're becoming isolated. It's proof that we're evolving into someone more honest about what truly matters to us. As we grow older, life teaches us lessons that no book ever could, through experience. And from those experiences, we begin to understand that not everyone deserves a place in our hearts. Along the way, we've all faced disappointments, betrayals, or felt used by people we once trusted completely. The scars from the past may no longer show on the surface, but they carry profound lessons. That trust is valuable, and not everyone is capable of honoring it. In our younger years, we often opened ourselves up without much thought. We were quick to trust, quick to share, and believed everyone deserved a chance. But as time goes on, we begin to discern more carefully. We learn that some smiles hide insincerity, and not every hand that reaches out intends to hold us in kindness. These experiences don't make us bitter, they make us wiser. They teach us to protect our emotional space and to be more intentional about who we let in. This sense of caution isn't a sign of negativity. It's evidence of growth. We no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or to maintain unhealthy relationships just to preserve appearances. We begin setting healthy boundaries because we know the cost of ignoring our instincts and allowing the wrong people too close. We become more sensitive to subtle warning signs we might have once overlooked. It's all part of protecting ourselves, born out of a deeper sense of self-respect. Keeping distance from certain people doesn't mean we hate them. It means we value the peace we've worked hard to earn. Life has shown us that not every conflict requires confrontation, and not every closeness needs to be pursued. Sometimes, silence and stepping away is the greatest sign of maturity. We learn that it's better to be alone than to be with those who drain or harm us. And that kind of decision can only be made by someone who's lived through pain and learned from it. In the end, our caution in relationships isn't rooted in fear. It's grounded in clarity. We now understand the value of feeling safe, honest, and truly seen in a connection. So when we choose not to open the door as widely as we once did, it's not coldness, it's wisdom. It means we've learned to honor our life's journey, including all the pain, growth, and understanding it has given us. As we grow older, many of us begin to find peace in solitude. What once felt like loneliness now becomes a comforting companion. Silence no longer feels awkward or unsettling. It becomes a space to breathe, to reflect, and to simply be. We no longer feel the need to fill every moment with conversation or company. Instead, we embrace the quiet, and in that quiet, we begin to hear something we've often missed: the gentle voice within. Solitude gives us room to think deeply about life, about the lessons we've learned, and about who we truly are. There's no longer a need to prove ourselves or chase social approval. We realize that true peace doesn't come from how busy or socially active we are, but from how deeply we can be at peace with ourselves. In stillness, we discover meaning. In silence, we find clarity. Many younger people may think being alone is a sign of sadness or isolation, but with age, we often choose solitude not because we feel left out, but because we feel safe there. We learn to savor the simple things: the sound of the wind, the smell of morning coffee, the quiet turning of a page in a book. There is no pressure to perform, no need to impress, just the calming presence of ourselves. That, in itself, is a kind of freedom few truly understand. Solitude also offers us space to heal. With fewer distractions, we can finally sit with old wounds, offer them understanding, and let them go. There's time for forgiveness, for reflection, and for letting the past settle peacefully. These quiet moments don't just calm us, they help us grow. We stop expecting others to fill our emptiness because we've learned that the emptiness itself can be a sacred space for renewal. In the end, we come to realize being alone doesn't mean we've lost connection or love. In fact, it's often through solitude that we learn to love more deeply, first ourselves and then others. The solitude we choose is not a withdrawal from life, but a wiser, quieter way of walking through it. It's not about escaping the world, it's about finally understanding where we belong within it. As we grow older, we begin to understand that life is no longer about how many people surround us, but about the depth and meaning of the relationships we choose to keep. In the past, we may have felt the need to always show up, stay involved, and be present to feel valued. But now, we've come to appreciate silence, the kind that once felt awkward, and we find meaning in the quiet, simple moments. Distancing ourselves from the crowd is no longer a form of escape. It's a way to protect our inner peace, to preserve our energy, and to choose serenity over obligation. We realize not every relationship needs to be maintained, not every invitation needs to be accepted, and not every gathering brings joy. In solitude that's consciously chosen, we come to know ourselves more deeply. We become our own best companions, more honest with our emotions, more accepting of who we are, and more grounded in our truth. That's the kind of strength that only comes with age, not because we are tired, but because we have become wiser. So if you find yourself enjoying your own company more, or choosing silence over small talk, know this: you are not alone. Many others feel the same, and it doesn't mean you're becoming cold. It means you are evolving into your most authentic self. If this video resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more reflective and meaningful content. Sharing is caring, so send this video to a friend or a loved one who may be going through the same journey. Until next time, stay well, stay calm, and continue growing into a wiser, more peaceful you.